Hello, I hope y'all are all doing well. It's December 21st, and today I'm back. So today I'm going to be talking about one big thing. I'm going to be talking about pretty much just Christmas, like Christmas Eve. I guess, really, the significant winter storm for many places. Potentially like blizzard conditions in some places as well. We're going to be talking about which areas could see that, and just we're going to talk about the general cold that is going to be pushed in behind this system. Uh, so yeah, I hope y'all are all doing very well. It's December 21st, like I said. It's a couple days till Christmas. But yeah, let's get started. We have a lot to talk about. So these are the current temperatures across the lower 48 here. So we can see the Northeast currently is pretty much below freezing for most of it, or at freezing, like right along the coast. Uh, the Southeast is pretty cold. Temperatures mainly in the 40s and some 30s over in the Carolinas. Uh, Central and southern Florida is warm. Southern Florida is very warm actually. And then south central U.S. This area here, south central or kind of into the southwest a little bit there. Uh, Pretty cold. Definitely very cold. Southwest, not too warm either. And then we can see, the this tier of the country here, or really this area here is just frigid right now. Uh, and if we kind of play these temperatures out here, how these have kind of go on, we can see how they're starting to push south. That cold air is starting to head southeast. This is our storm system here. So we can see right now this is the HRRR. Right now, there we go. So uh, we have a low in Wyoming. We can see that kind of that front right there. Uh, and as we go to this afternoon, this low does move southeast along with the cold air. So that cold, really very frigid air is just gonna be pushed down into areas of South Dakota, Nebraska, and eventually all the way into the southern plains by tomorrow afternoon. This is when we start to see everything kind of come together for snow. We see a low develop kind of in like near the Kansas City areas where it gets started, and then we start to see uh, some snow bands or really just like one kind of large snow band get going along the front there, which could bring areas as far south as Oklahoma some snowfall from this. Maybe some flakes in northern Texas as well. We'll see about that. But some good accumulating snow in Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and then this heads into, and then while this low deepens, that's when we're going to be looking at like our big impacts and stuff regarding like snowfall, which we're gonna generally zoom in on this area now. So looking at like the kind of the central part of this, so like Illinois, Missouri. We can see how the NAM3 indicates the snow occurring here. So by this evening, we already have some snow, a good bit of snow across Iowa, up into Minnesota, Wisconsin there. And then as we get to around midnight tonight, we start to see that cold air pushing in. And then by tomorrow afternoon, we have our low really starting to deepen. And we can see that snowfall really getting going. These snow bands really getting going across Illinois, all the way down to the Missouri, and then a lot of snow in Michigan. Michigan is going to be where I think we'll probably see the most snow from lake effect as well on the backside of this. But we can just see, most of Michigan does get snow from this, other than the eastern, like the southeastern, I guess, area of Michigan. Does start off as rain, but then everywhere switches to snow. So everywhere we'll get snow in Michigan from this. So, yeah. Now further south. Across the Ohio Valley, this area is a little interesting because a little bit more model discrepancies, I guess, but not really discrepancies, kind of just differences. Yeah, there we go. So by tomorrow, this is 6 p.m. tomorrow, 5 p.m. Central. We can see that band of like moderate snow with a lot of wind moving through eastern Illinois, western Indiana on the NAM3 here. Starting to push into like northwest Mississippi. Not really like any big accumulations expected across the northern Mississippi, but we could end up seeing some like light snowfall accumulations. Uh, we could see some decent accumulations in like northern Tennessee, especially Kentucky, and I mean, especially as you go further north in like Ohio and Indiana, we'll see a lot more. But yeah, so that is kind of this area here. The HRRR, look at the exact same thing. Very similar situation here. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. we have a band of like moderate snow with just a lot of wind. The wind is going to be a big factor with this. We're going to talk about that at the end of the video. But yeah, we can see, I mean, these winds will be really be going during or while this is occurring. So you can see that snow right there. Band of snow further south though into the Ohio Valley. Very similar situation. Some of that snow does make it into northern Mississippi and northern Alabama, but accumulations will mainly be like a little bit, just like a very small bit of snow across that area. There's a little bit of uncertainty. Maybe we could see like some like half-inch amounts. It's pretty, chance of that's like pretty low, but it is there. We'll see. But by tomorrow at 9 p.m. we're seeing that snow in Nashville, heading into eastern Tennessee as it kind of starts to fall apart. But yeah, so that is kind of that area. Looking at total snowfall accumulations off of several different models for like the Ohio Valley, the Illinois, Missouri area as well. We can compare all these models, and I mean, it generally looks like the furthest south we're gonna see snow. I'd say the European's kind of a good midpoint here, although it doesn't go out far enough for some areas up here, so just kind of ignore that area. But we can get an idea of what we're seeing across the rest of these areas. So, I mean, Nashville picks up about an inch, about 0.1 inches across like northern Mississippi, northern Alabama. Even some snow in the North Georgia mountains. Not really significant. Not really any significant totals though. A good couple inches though across far northern Arkansas. So I mean that's good to see. All of Missouri picks up a good bit of snow. Illinois picks up a good bit of snow. Nothing. I mean, this is not like what we were looking at when like the GFS shifted dramatically northwest earlier this week. Like snowfall accumulation wise, but I mean 3 inches isn't too bad. I mean, with the cold we're gonna see, it's gonna stick around till Christmas. So you will see a white Christmas in areas of Kentucky, maybe even Tennessee. So yeah, and this is the. Wait, I thought there was something there wasn't, but pretty significant accumulations up towards Indiana, which I mean that's not even fully done in this area here. So that's what we're gonna look at next. So this is the total snowfall accumulations off the GFS, because the GFS does go out far enough, kind of indicate everything here. So we see that I think the low appears to be a little further south in the GFS. But that low swings up into Michigan, brings a quick burst of snow across most of Ohio, quick couple of inches in some areas, and that low just sticks around in Michigan with a ton of wind, just really dumping snow across Michigan there. And I mean, total snowfall from this is we do see some pretty significant totals in the range of about up to about 2 feet in some areas. I do think some areas could potentially get over 2 feet. If we look at the European model, on the other hand, here, it doesn't fully go out far enough for this, but I think there's probably still snow ongoing, like the lake effect wise. Let's see, yeah, still some lake effect ongoing, but this is going to be a very long event. But we can get an idea, so we can see like widespread totals in Michigan above a foot. I mean, most of Michigan gets above 6 inches, but then a couple of spots, especially up in this corridor here, could see above. There's a high possibility of getting more than 2 feet, or at least 2 feet. Also, UP and Michigan will be getting a lot from this. Just to mention that. So yeah, that's kind of total snowfall expected in this area for this system. Now the Mid-Atlantic Northeast is a little uncertain right now, so we're gonna discuss that next. I don't think any of these shorter range models really go out here far enough, but we'll talk about this real quick. So we're gonna see like this first little piece of energy ahead of this kind of move north throughout tonight into Thursday morning, we can see a good little bit of snow across like areas of Virginia, West Virginia, and even into areas of Maryland, Pennsylvania, and then kind of that warmer area like kind of advances quicker as it heads up into New York, and we don't really see as much snow, but some areas could briefly start out as snow across areas of New York there. Then switch to rain as that warm air comes in. This is what we see in the backside. The HRRR seems to be going with a much more moderate solution compared to other models with this back-end snow across kind of the northeast, mid-Atlantic areas. So we can see like a brief little burst of snow across areas of Pennsylvania, Maryland, down to DC. We do see like a couple of like a little bit of snow on the backside of this. But I mean, compared to other models, this is really pretty. I mean, it's a pretty like moderate solution compared to other models. So, I mean, we see much more like significant, like a much more like I guess just. I mean, there's much more moisture lingering behind the front on the NAM3 here. We still see like a couple of snow showers down in DC. I mean, even some snow showers maybe as far south like as North Carolina, like some flurries. Not even really showers, just flurries, but we'll see about that. And then the GFS here, very kind of similar, but we do see some pockets of like actual heavy snow on the backside. Total accumulations on the backside across the Mid-Atlantic are very they're very uncertain, I'd say. We look at like the GFS's total snowfall after Kachera ratio is just pretty high in some areas. I mean, DC gets 6 inches. I think that's overdone. I really do think that's overdone. I think a lot of these numbers are kind of overdone across the Northeast. I really don't think we're going to be seeing like what the GFS has. I think some areas could pick up a good bit of snow pretty quickly, but I don't think we're going to be seeing like a widespread like 4+ inch snowfall event in most areas. So yeah, I mean the Mid-Atlantic Northeast is probably one of the more interesting areas for snowfall with this, just because of the kind of backside. But yes, we can see what the GFS does there, and we're also going to be potentially looking at maybe a severe weather threat in the Northeast. Okay, so that's just something to note. We'll look at that in a little bit here. Could be looking at a severe weather threat, which is going to be pretty weird. And areas of like northern Maine could pick up a good bit of snow from this as well. If the GFS verifies. Same with the Euro, it appears, yeah. Although it does switch over to rain briefly before maybe getting a little bit of snow on the backside. So yeah, I mean that's kind of what we can expect across the Northeast. Like I said before, pretty interesting area regarding snowfall, just due to the nature of this storm system. But yeah, so I mean we probably will see, even if we don't see a severe weather threat in the Northeast, we are definitely going to be seeing a significant wind event for much of the Northeast, or for the entire Northeast or parts of the Mid-Atlantic, Midwest. So yeah, I mean 500 millibar winds here. I mean just look at that Friday afternoon. I mean we will definitely see. I think we're probably going to see a squall line, maybe type thing, kind of appear there with just some very significant winds. I think that's kind of something we could see. If let me zoom in on that area there. So you think the area we could be would be mainly kind of that area there, but I mean maybe all the way like up further north too. Looking at dew points here, I mean, see, we don't have a whole lot of moisture. I don't think we're going to be. This is not going to be like a classic severe weather event. This kind of just looks like a winter wind event in the Northeast. I mean, either way, okay. The severe weather threat with this is not too important, in my opinion, because I mean, either way, we're going to be seeing damaging winds. So it's more important to kind of just. I don't really know what I was trying to say there, but. I mean, yeah. So we don't. This is not going to be like a classic severe weather event here, but if we take a couple of soundings, or we'll try to, they're probably not going to be good for like tornadoes or anything. But I mean, definitely win with this, with these soundings. But see, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see like SPC issue a marginal or a slight risk for wind, for damaging wind across, like mainly probably areas like in like generally like this area, maybe a little further north. Uh, so yeah, we'll see what they do. For sure. Now let's talk about temperatures. So let's go ahead and look at the entire U.S. Or I thought I had. Okay, I do have something pulled up. Or I think we'll take a look at. Yeah, we'll take a look at wind first, actually, because I think that was what I was planning on doing. So okay, so this is the European. I think the European's kind of a good. It goes out far enough for the entire thing. We're just gonna look at the European. I think it has a decent like grasp on these wind speeds. So yeah, so we see. I mean, by Thursday afternoon, we were seeing some gusts all the way into like the 40s, maybe even getting up to near 50 in areas of the southern plains there. We can see those winds starting to push into areas in the Midwest. By Friday afternoon, so this is just Friday afternoon, Friday about 1 p.m. I mean, gusting to 60 in Cleveland there. The Northeast, you can see right along the coast, very significant winds. Even inland, though, some gusts into the 50s, maybe even the 60s, across like these areas here. As those far northern areas, most of Maine will probably gust into the 60s. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some gusts into the 70s, especially down near the coast. Very significant wind event, even into the Mid-Atlantic. I mean, or down even into the Carolinas, eastern North Carolina, gusting into the 50s. Maybe a pretty significant wind event across areas of the southern Appalachians there. So I mean, this is going to be. I mean, this storm system is pretty rare. I mean, I've since I've really started looking at models like in January 2019, like when I had pretty much didn't know anything about weather, but I still remember. I mean, I don't think I've really ever seen something like this, like with the cold. Like I don't think I've ever seen something like this with just a widespread significant cold. I know I haven't seen that. Like making it as far east, like of course February 2021, Southern Plains there. Well, pretty much the entire plains, but this is a very weird storm system. Very significant too. This is going to be a big wind event for sure. And the European's a little lower than other models. I mean, the GFS is higher. The GFS is a more high-end solution that we could potentially see. I'd say the Euro has a better chance of verifying than the GFS because we take a look at the GFS. And you can see, yeah, it's definitely, I mean, it's like 80 mile per hour wind gusts along the coast of Maine. So we'll see. I wouldn't, the GFS is a like I said, a high-end solution. It's possible that we see something similar to it, but I'd say the Euro has a better chance of actually verifying with this. Alright, so looking at temperatures now, we're going to go region by region. We'll start off in the south central U.S. here. And kind of forecast, let's look at temperatures till Christmas. So, the front pushes through, starts kind of entering Oklahoma, Texas area by Thursday morning here. Temperatures in the single digits already in far like northern Texas Panhandle, western Oklahoma. Thursday afternoon, we can see that very cold air here. I can actually probably just shift over to the HRRR. Here we go. Yeah, so in Thursday afternoon, the HRRR might be a little cold here, but temperatures in the teens across northern Texas, single digits across much of Oklahoma, even some negatives indicated on the HRRR across far northwest Arkansas, northeast Oklahoma, much of like Missouri as well. We go up to the central U.S. here, and yeah, we can see those single digits there. So very, very cold. And then Friday morning, low temperatures in the negatives for most of Kansas, uh, most of Missouri also in the negatives there. A good bit of Arkansas will be seeing some negatives as well potentially. Same with Oklahoma, and then down in Texas, uh, generally teens. I mean, all the way down into Houston, we see temperatures in the teens. Maybe even pushing like along the Gulf Coast. Uh, so yeah, I mean, very, very cold Friday morning. Looking at temperatures in the Midwest, so you can see how it's warmer in northern Michigan, much warmer in northern Michigan by about. I mean, okay, I feel like some of these temperatures might be a little colder than what we're gonna see across Indiana, maybe Kentucky as well. I mean, it's very hard to get -15, like that portion of Indiana, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, the HRRR is a decent model here. It's a pretty good model. I mean, literally everywhere seeing temperatures in the negatives. Some places seeing temperatures well into the negatives, maybe below -10. In the like Ohio Valley area here, Nashville in the negatives on the HRRR, well into the negatives too, almost -10. Huntsville -3. Areas of the mountains of Georgia getting down into like almost like -10, indicated the HRRR generally like in the negatives. I mean, the HRRR is cold. I'm really wanting to see what it does with the 18Z run. Like another model like the GFS here, it's a little bit warmer. Teens, like single digits generally across this area, not -15 in Nashville, or not -10 in Nashville, not -15 in this area. So yeah, I'd say the GFS is probably a little bit more of a solution that could actually occur here. I think the HRRR is cold. The HRRR for the first couple of runs that are like HRRR like for the last couple of hours is always pretty bad. It's never that good. And then yeah, so high temperatures Friday afternoon in the single digits across Kentucky, across Indiana, areas of Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, other than southern Illinois, maybe getting into the teens. Wow. Maybe some areas still trying to get out of the negatives. Up in Iowa, northwest Illinois. I mean, look at the north central U.S. and still in the negatives Friday afternoon. South central U.S. here in 20s across much of Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana. I mean, Shreveport 27, 26 in Jackson, Mississippi Friday afternoon. Back in the Ohio Valley here, Friday afternoon is 21 in Atlanta, 18 in Gainesville, Georgia. Now, I mean, some of these models, I'd say let's go over to the National Weather Service blend of models here. So 20 in Atlanta, 19 in Birmingham, 27 in Montgomery. These are temperatures Friday afternoon once again. So yeah, very cold. We also see that cold advancing into the mid-Atlantic states here. Some temperatures below freezing, slowly pushing east. Actually, like quickly pushing east. Probably Friday afternoon, and it's like right around freezing in Columbia. And then the Northeast we can see is still quite warm here. Temperatures in the 50s across that area. We're going to also be seeing a lot of rain. So that's Friday afternoon. We'll take a look at Saturday morning here. We'll just go ahead and go out to Christmas. So across the Northeast, Saturday morning is cold. Temperatures across Pennsylvania maybe mainly in the single digits. Up into New York. Areas near the lakes are a little warmer. But then areas along the coast are a little warmer, but mainly like this portion of New York, like Binghamton, probably be well into the single digits, probably around 7, according to National Weather Service blend of models. Moving into the Mid-Atlantic here, the cold air does reach that area. Columbia 16, Florence, South Carolina 18, Raleigh in the mid-teens there. I mean, look at these temperatures in the mountains, though. I mean, a lot of negatives in the western North Carolina. Definitely pushing the negatives in the North Georgia mountains. 4 in Blairsville, 11 in Athens, 11 in Atlanta, 12 in Birmingham Saturday morning. So very cold. Some of this cold air. I mean, this is the coldest air we could have potentially seen since January 2018 or January 2014 in the southeast. And over towards the south central U.S. It's starting to warm up a little bit in Texas here. Only around 20 in Dallas. Many areas though still in the teens. Yeah, we can see. I mean, just still extremely cold for Christmas Eve morning. And then, real quick, temperatures Christmas Eve afternoon in the single digits across much of the Midwest here. Teens in Michigan, a little warmer in Michigan due to the storm system still. We're gonna start to warm up. Well, still temperatures below freezing in Texas, but it's starting to warm up. Okay, it's starting to warm up. We're around 30 in some more southern areas, still in the 20s across like far, like kind of northern, like along the Red River, and then up into the Panhandle. The southeast here, we're still well into the 20s for much of northern and central Alabama, northern and central Georgia. Maybe getting up to around 30 in Columbia, South Carolina, so very cold across that area too. And 19 in Blairsville. So some very cool. I mean, some of these high temperatures do in the southeast definitely beat high temperatures that we saw in January 2014. That's kind of the thing with this is these afternoon temperatures. Like, okay, I mean, getting down to like 11 degrees in Atlanta during the winter, it's not really rare. I mean, that happens I'm pretty sure on average, Atlanta gets down to 13. Like, I think their coldest temperature, like, on average per winter, so like one night gets down to this temperature. I think it's like 14 or 15. So I mean, it's not completely rare to get these overnight lows. Really happens like a low of 11 should happen like every 3 years really. I mean, maybe like around 3 years. Happened in 2018, kind of near that, like that down to near 11. Happened in 2014, but the thing, I mean, it's like, I also think it happened in 2015, but not completely positive in 2015. But it's just really the high temperatures across the south that's going to be pretty rare, because I mean, highs in like the low 20s in December in northern Georgia is quite rare. Same with northern Alabama, same with Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas. It's very rare. So, and then Sunday morning, temperatures, this is Christmas morning, temperatures in the teens across the southeast, south central U.S. still remaining cold, temperatures across in the 20s across much of Texas here. Down in Brownsville, it's 40. Central U.S. here, still in the single digits and into the negatives up in Iowa, eastern Nebraska, Ohio Valley. Christmas morning here, still cold. That snow will still be on the ground if you do get it. So, temperatures well into the negatives still up in Minnesota, Iowa, maybe still in the negatives across Illinois, Indiana, like northern Indiana. And now we got Christmas afternoon. Okay, so temperatures will probably not make it out of the negatives up in Minnesota, maybe northern Iowa, struggling to get out of the negatives, get above zero there. Temperatures like in Chicago, kind of depends where you live. Like if you live like literally in Chicago, maybe getting into the teens. Outside of Chicago, single digits for highs Christmas Day. So very cold. I mean, the Ohio Valley here, highs in the 20s. And then as we get into the south, though, like northern Louisiana, we're in the 30s. Northern central Mississippi, 30s. Some areas still not getting above freezing, though, across this area. So I mean, that's several days below freezing. And then the stupid warm nose in the southeast does get us up into the into the mid 30s. So that's good. That's good. But then the northeast is also cold this time. If we look at the mid Atlantic, we slowly move up there. 20s across Virginia, below freezing still in many areas of North Carolina, and then into the northeast. Christmas afternoon, mainly we're looking at 20s, but if you get into like the interior portions of the northeast, we're definitely going to look at some teens, maybe in like Binghamton, and then a lot of higher elevations there. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Very long video, compared to normal here, but there's a lot to talk about. I should hopefully be back tomorrow to also talk about this system again. But yeah, I appreciate y'all watching the video. I hope y'all have a great Christmas. And yeah, goodbye.